Hello gamers, this is GamerX here and welcome back to another video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about some Save the World stuff. I have not done Save the World content on my channel before, but I play the heck out of Save the World. As you can see, power level 122, and I have all the mythic weapons and everything, so you know, I'm not the best at the game, but I really enjoy it, and I know some things here and there. But the reason I'm making this video is because I noticed that no one else, at least as far as I was aware, made a video talking about the trap changes in Chapter 2 Season 2. And as someone who was confused and didn't know if they should, perk these things up or not, I figured why not, perk them up and test them out and, let everyone know, hey, should you do this or should you not? So yeah, that's what the video is about today. I'm not going to get into why it's been, I don't even know how long since the last video. As you know, a lot of YouTube stuff has been going on with like Copa and whatnot, so because of that it's been kind of pushing me away from YouTube. But like I said in my last video, I'm not going to be consistent with my uploads, but I will upload occasionally, every now and then. So yeah, let's get into the video. So all the gameplay you're going to see is pre-recorded. I did a recording session before this, which was way too long, which is why I'm doing this one in place of it, because it would just been so much editing, and honestly I don't know if I got all my points across, so I made a notepad to kind of help me keep track more. But I'll use the gameplay from the last recording session as like a showcase of how they work and how well they work. So let's go over all the trap changes first. So we'll start with the nerfs. So there are two traps that got nerfed in this update, and it is the broadsides and the ceiling gas trap. Both of these were nerfed. They do less damage. I think they didn't specify what the nerf was, but I'm assuming damage or something of that nature. So those two are the only traps that got nerfed. As for the traps that got buffed, we have the drop trap, electric field, zapper, and then wall dynamo. So the drop trap, when it drops tires now, the tires bounce. And during my testing, the tires not only, bounced downward, but if you put them on a ramp or above a ramp, they'll bounce on the ramp and then go backwards down the ramp, which is really cool and super effective in certain areas in the trap tunnel. And it's honestly a really fun trap to use. And then the electric field, zapper, and dynamo can now be energy traps as opposed to nature traps. Now, keep this in mind. During my testing, I noticed that these traps put up numbers that looked like nature damage. I don't know if that means that they were doing nature damage or if it was just a visual bug. I have no clue. So keep that in mind. If they were doing nature damage and it was a bug, they would be performing better than what I might have seen. So keep that in mind. So yeah, let's go into the testing that I did. So I did multiple tests. The first test I did, I made 3 trap tunnels in my storm shield. I made them all the same length, and the only damaging traps that I used were the ceiling traps. Mainly the electric field, gas trap, and zapper, because those were the 3 I was most interested in testing to see which one, is the new ceiling trap king, So I did that test, and that test I realized went really bad because the husk decided to go from 2 of the trap tunnels into the main one, and that main one had the zapper, and as you know, the zapper only targets a single enemy, and while it does do a large damage to that enemy, it can't kill them fast enough to make up for that. So that was kind of a failed test. So then I did a test with just gas traps, just sealing electric fields, and then I did a test with the drop traps on the ramps, or above the ramps, and then only wall dynamos on the side. The only other traps I used were wooden floor spikes to slow the husk down. So yes, they were being damaged, but these probably did barely anything to them since they were level 108 husks, and this is only a level 80 trap. And I used floor launchers and sound walls just to keep the husks from, you know, doing too much damage to the walls and whatnot. So we'll start with the Zapper. So the Zapper, based on what I've seen, doesn't seem that great. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad trap. I think this trap still has its uses, and I still think that this trap can be useful. It's just in certain situations, especially trap tunnels, it doesn't look like it would perform that well because, again, it only targets a single enemy, and if it ends up targeting a high health enemy like a smasher or mist monster or whatever, then it will do a ton of damage to them and potentially one-shot them depending on the situation, power level, and etc. But I don't think you can control what this decides to attack, so because of that, you know, this could just hit a normal husk and then a smasher comes in and then this misses it because it hit that normal husk. So I do think these, though, can be useful maybe in like timeout rooms or something of that nature, to where, you know, maybe it would push a monster in there or something and then this could almost one-shot it, but I don't think it would be the best for that situation. So right now I'm not a huge fan of the Zapper, but it does feel like it would have some sort of use. Also, by the way, I didn't mention, but these are the perks I had. So for the Zapper, it was just crit rating, crit damage, and then energy. For electric field, same thing. And then for the gas trap, it is the exact same thing, plus effect duration, which I don't think works anymore because of the previous nerf they got, where they made it to where it only take damage from it when they're under it. Whether that is still the case or not, I have no clue, but I don't know. And then for the drop trap, and again, crit rating, crit damage, and physical, and then same thing for the wall dynamos. So for all these, I used basically the same builds. I don't think for some of these that's the best build to go with, but it's the one that I went with just to, you know, see. So let's move on to the next trap. So the ceiling drop trap. This trap I think is my favorite trap out of this whole batch of nerfs and buffs. I think this one is my favorite. The amount of damage it did was really good, and the fact that the tires again dropped and then bounced down the ramp and out of the trap tunnel, killing basically every husk that it went through, was really, really good. I think, again, out of all the traps, I think this is the best buff, and these are going to be probably meta for ramp builds or maybe even timeout rooms because of the fact that they bounce like the broadsides just downward. So yeah, these worked really well when I tested them. Wall dynamos, they also worked really well. Again, since the whole nature and energy thing, I don't know if they were performing at their best, but it seemed to be very, very good. Maybe on par with the broadsides and the wall darts, honestly. So yeah, I was pretty happy and impressed with them. And then we have the electric field. This trap was, well, very good as well. I saw in the patch notes that it said they buffed the range of this, I don't know if it was always 3x3, but I'm pretty sure it was. And based on my testing, it still seems to be 3x3. So again, I don't know if it's a bug or if it used to not be 3x3. I have no idea. I completely forget. But yeah, I don't think the range changed at all on it. And yeah, this worked really well in the trap tunnels. Again, I did a test to where I made a trap tunnel, 3, but I made this be the only damaging trap in it. And then I did another test like that, but with gas traps, and then I did another test with wall dynamos, and then the drop trap above the ramps on each of the channels. And I also did this in my storm shield. I did it in Twin Peaks. The traps were 106 and the husks were 108. And obviously there were elemental husks, so that could have swayed the damage numbers a little bit, but I tried to control it to the best of my ability. So now, with all that said, with all this testing, with all this, you know, back and forth and whatnot, what should you perk up all of these traps? Or some of them, or any of them? We'll start with my favorite, and that is, well, actually, we'll start with the nerfs. Should you reset your broadside if you already had a broadside? Should you reset it? And if you just got a broadside, should you perk it up? I'd say it's fine. I don't think it got nerfed enough to make you... I can't talk. I don't think the nerf was so bad to where I think everyone should just reset it and never use it again. I think the nerf is very minimal, and this thing still does a crap ton of damage and is one of the best traps in the game. So yeah, I think if you have it perked up, keep it perked up. If you want to perk it up, that is not a bad idea at all. Gas traps. Despite the 2 nerfs that this thing got, I still think this is, again, one of the best traps in the game. And I think, again, if you have it perked up, you should keep it perked up. And if you want to perk it up, then yeah, I would say that's not a bad idea at all. Now, as for the new traps, so we'll start with the drop trap because it is not energy, because the other 3 kind of go all together. I think this is one of those cases to where, even though I do think this could be a meta trap, it feels like you don't need it or have to have it. I think if you have this and you are looking to perk up another trap just for variety or for fun or just something different than a gas trap, then yeah, I'd say this is a very good idea and a very good use of your XP perk up in evo mats. Again, it's very fun, it does a lot of damage, and it does work really well on slopes. So yeah, I think, again, if you want to perk it up, go for it. If you are like, should I perk it up? I don't know, I don't have a lot of mats. It's not like a trap to where you have to have this, like you have to have it perked up. But it is a trap that I think is very fun and I think you should give it a try, honestly. So yeah. Now the electric field, zapper, and the dynamo. So we'll start with the dynamo. I don't think at the moment it's as good as the broadsides and the wall darts. I think it's very good, but I do think that those 2 might be just a little better. However, again, going with the drop trap, if you want more variety and you want to use different traps in different situations, I think this is a good one to perk up and use, because the wall darts, while they are very good, you can use them in trap tunnels, they're better for long stretches of area to where they can just shoot and, you know, go very far and go through multiple husks. I think that's the best for wall darts. So if you're putting it on a wall and then it's only one space, it still works, but you're not getting the most out of it. And then for broadsides, again, they're still really good. They still bounce off walls and stuff. But you could put broadsides in your timeout rooms or something, and then just use these guys along the wall of the normal tunnel. They work really well, and they won't give you a handicap. Like, if you use this, it will not hurt you. But I don't think they're as good as broadsides or wall darts. But again, I do think they're really good. So I'd say broadsides and wall darts, and then this is like just right under it, just barely. Should you perk it up? If you already have broadsides and wall darts and you don't have the Evo mats to spare, there's no need to perk this up. But again, if you want variety, I say go for it. Now, electric fields and zappers. I already went over zappers. I don't think they are worth perking up at the moment. Again, I could be completely wrong. I'm not a trap expert again. I don't know, the best for everything, and, I'm not super knowledgeable when it comes to traps, but I do know a decent amount, and based on what I've seen and tested, I don't think this is an extremely good trap. I think in certain situations this trap can be really, really good, but I think for a trap that you just put along the ceiling, I don't think this is one that you should use. I think the gas trap and the electric field, and heck, even the tire trap would be maybe more beneficial than this one. But I still think, again, if you... I don't know where you could put this to where it would work the best, so I can't really give recommendations for that. So I'd say for now, don't worry about it. Maybe not perk it up, but keep an eye on it. Maybe we'll learn something that could be very, very useful with it. Yeah. And again, it does do a lot of damage. It is very good. It's just it's a single enemy, and the reload is kind of slow. However, you can probably put, assuming, yeah, you could put a reload speed on it, so you can do that if you want it to go off faster. So maybe in that situation it'd be better, I don't know. And then our final trap, the electric field. Now I'd say this is probably the one you'd want to go with. Like if you're using drop traps on the slopes only and you don't want to put them throughout your trap tunnel, you have between gas traps and these. Gas traps I think are definitely better, but I think using these would not hurt you at all. I think these are very good. The 3x3 range allows it to shoot husks in a tile over. So because even if they have a slow reload time, which again I'm assuming you can add, yeah, you can add reload to that as well. But even with that, due to how they work, it actually helps, because if you have a whole bunch of these, they will be attacking husks on each side of them, on every single slot, which is very, very good. And they attack multiple husks at once, which is also very, very good. So I would say that if you have the gas trap and you have it all perked up and you don't have problems crafting it and don't care about using it forever or whatever, then just, keep using the gas trap. But again, and I keep going back to this because it seems to be the theme, if you want more variety, you don't have gas traps, or you just don't have a lot of fire reserves, you're just sick of seeing them, this is not a bad option to go with. I do think, again, gas traps are better, but these are not a bad option at all. So yeah, that is my thoughts on all the trap changes and nerfs and buffs to all these traps. Overall, I'd say a very good start. I do think there is still some work to be done, and again, if these were bugged and they are still doing nature even though you can change them to energy, then yes, they probably will definitely be working a lot better than I saw. If it's just a visual bug though, then they will probably be working around the same. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. This is first time me trying to do something like this, so I hope I did well and I hope you enjoyed it. Seeing me ramble for like 30 years. And yeah. Again, it's not the most control. I didn't, it wasn't the perfect testing thing, is what I should say, But I did try my best to keep it as controlled and as fair as possible. So, yeah. And that's just my opinion. Maybe you want something that does a lot of damage to one target only, and if that's the case, then that's great. And the Zapper would be great for you. I'm just going based on my opinion and what I think is worth your perk up and whatnot. Again, if you're a whale and you have a million perk up and everything, then this isn't a problem for you. You just perk them all up and then see if you like them or not. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, remember, game on.